The Nerdrotic has dropped another video. Let's see what he talking about now. Well, you see the title? Can it? As long as it gets back to doing what it was doing, that was, for the most part, I would say, making good movies that the fans wanted to see. I think that's the only thing that it needs to do to be unburdened from what has been.
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 1 million hellions and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. Recently, this past Comic-Con, Disney Marvel shocked the world by announcing that Robert Downey Jr. was returning to the MCU to play Doctor Doom, and it set the internet ablaze.
Robert Downey Jr. is back in the MCU as Doctor Doom. I'm about to pass out. I need water, I need air.
Can I say holy shit?
You can say anything you want.
Holy shit.
Wow!
What? Whether you like the decision or not, at least for a time, it stopped the conversation of how much Disney Marvel sucked. And honestly, I think people were more surprised that the casting of Doctor Doom didn't go to Pedro Pascal playing a second part or Leslie Jones. To be fair, after an abysmal start after showing the trailers for the Thunderbolts and Captain African America,
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
admittedly, this is from lowered expectations, but things turned positive in Hall H after that when they announced the return of the Russo brothers to direct a couple of...
That was funny, man, because I was literally just about to pause it and talk about how I still don't know if I'm on board with this. I'm not for the most part. I'd rather see something else, see him play a different role, a different version of Iron Man or something, but we'll see what they do. But I just... it still doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I know about all the different versions and different comic book stories. I know all about all of that. This isn't what the fans wanted. And I think that all the people that are super RDJ fans just want him back. And he's just back, so they're just happy that he's back in any capacity. But I'm not like that. I would still like to see him back in some form or fashion, you know, like I'm a big fan of certain stars, but you know, it's like, I don't know. Say they were making a Thundercat movie, and The Rock got cast in it, but you find out that he's Snarf. It's like, no, he don't want him to be Snarf. I don't want him to be Doctor Doom. I'd rather someone else play Doctor Doom. But, you know, people keep saying, oh, they think it's going to be some, you know, version of Iron Man and that the real Doctor Doom will come in later. And we'll see what they do. Sometimes these writers out there are damn good. Sometimes there's twists and turns where you're like, you know what? I didn't think it was going to work, but damn, they fooled me. It really did work. So we're just going to have to see.
Of Avengers films, the aforementioned return of RDJ, and the Fantastic Four footage looking pretty good. Couple that with my friend Chris Gore breaking some news that there had been a purge at Marvel.
I do know people who work at Marvel. They have cleaned house. They quietly, months ago, fired all the producers that could be labeled activist.
One of those firings being very public with Victoria Alonso.
I think people are ready, whether they accept it or not. That's a part of being an audience member. You don't have to love it. We hope that you love it.
Hope is not a strategy.
It's not.
Ultimately, this was a course correction, as close as we're going to get to an admission of failure, and a very public one. In Hall H, Kevin Feige never mentioned any phases. He didn't throw up a bracket of 15 films, half of which are going to get canceled, and no mention of any D-plus shows. Now, that was saved for later, and we'll get to that. But this has led some to believe that this is a sign of change, and it very well could be. Has the biggest, most successful franchise in the world gone off the reservation? Now, I'm not breaking any news by saying that Hollywood is overdosed on the message. And this isn't a question on whether the audience tastes have changed, which they have. Has Hollywood's taste changed? Can woke Hollywood be unburdened by what has been? That's the question, and yes, it could be applied to so many things going on in the world right now, but as the identitarians say in Hollywood, I'm going to stay in my lane. Now, everyone witnessed the crime against imagination known as the Acolyte, so we don't need to discuss that, but you may...
Yes.
or probably didn't notice the catastrophes of Kurtzman Trek's Star Trek Discovery, or
I heard about it.
what it's better known as STD, and Disney's Doctor Who. 3 major franchises failing in successive months. STD's series finale aired on May 30th of this year. And no one heard a thing about it. The triumphant return of Russell T Davies to Disney Doctor Who ended on June 22nd. To the worst ratings in the show's 60-year history. And I know you know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway because I'm on YouTube. What do they all have in common? They failed for...
It begins with a W.
For precisely the same reason, something that I've been saying in many other channels for years, prioritizing the message over story. Don't believe me? Because there may be some doubters out there. I mean, aside from the Oscars changing their rules...
That's hilarious that he chose to use that clip. Then I got news for you.
To incorporate the activist policies that were already implemented in every entertainment corporation and Silicon Valley. And
I was just talking about this with Deadpool and Wolverine becoming the biggest grossing R-rated film of all time. What did they do? They didn't woke it up. They gave the fans what they wanted. Now, you saw my review. You know, people always ask me, was it? You can see some boxes checked, but it was not a woke movie. And that's what is important. Fans do not want that garbage pushed over the story of the characters. It's like I told you guys before. Look, diversity is a good thing, okay? We know this. It's good to be accepting of all different cultures and people. We know this. We've known this for years. For a very long time, humans have known this. But I said, take something like Fast and Furious franchise. What does Dom always talk about? Family. Now think about this. What if every single video game, every single comic book, every television show, every movie, and all the commercials you see on TV for 10 years straight, every time you see them, all they talk about is family. Family. Lucky I've got my family. Family's so great. You know, family. Even politicians, family. Wouldn't you get tired of hearing about family? Like, can I just watch Autobots fight the Decepticons? Why are they talking about family just like everything else out there? It's the same thing. It's like, stop. We know. This is escapism. Can we just get robots fighting? Can we get superheroes fighting? Can we get a good story over here for this series? Can we get a good story over here for this? No, you just want to push the same political identity politics and everything else under that damn W umbrella to us over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like, what are you doing? Right. People of color are good. Yes, we know that. Okay, yes, LGBT community should be accepted. Okay, we know this. What are you doing? Why? I know women can be strong. I know they can. Okay, I know they can lead. Okay, why do you keep pushing all of this over and over again? We all know it's a good thing. It's just so ridiculous. And they really stood on that hill. They really stood on that hill. And then when the fans got irritated with it, instead of changing course, you're bigots and you're this and you're... No, that's not it. We want the stories that you were telling and more of them. We're tired of being preached to. No one wants to be preached to unless they go to church. You're going to church to be? Exactly.
and every corporation in America and the UK, adult pretenders bloviating about it on award shows, or on press junkets, or on the red carpet.
Okay, why is Captain Marvel so important right now?
Because women are being represented in their best form and their best light in this. The military and women in the military are being represented. Single mothers are being represented. Young girls who didn't see themselves on screen when they were younger. Now young girls these days are getting to see themselves on screen. We have all cultures and backgrounds in this movie. It's just a great celebration of the life we've seen with
Wow.
It was funny, even when I saw a thing came out, Emily Blunt, talking about rolling her eyes, strong female character. It was just like, yo, man, come on. Good Lord. You know what it reminds me of? How, like, black people have been tired of certain types of movies for a long time. Like, they're irritated with having so many slave movies. They're just tired. They're just like, another slave movie, another series about slavery, another documentary about slavery. Like, we just get tired of it, man. It's like, can we have something else? All right. Can we have something about some African civilizations? Can we have something about kings, queens, different tribes, good stories, nice stories that aren't always about eventually leading to slavery, like, or it's always got to be some struggle from the ghetto movie, always the single mother or the ghetto family. And, you know, somebody knows how to play a sport really good and they were poor. And it's just the same stuff over and over again. You know what I mean? Like, black people have been tired of that forever. You know, it's like, can y'all stop, please? Please. It's like, there's more to us than that.
Oh, I didn't ask for your life story.
I think at the very least, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to question that Hollywood in recent years has turned entertainment into a platform.
The goal is not really to promote Star Trek, but to promote these organizations and to use our platform to be able to bring greater awareness to these.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Messages and places.
Oh, we got him.
Got it? But let's go to something more recent. After failing in tandem in their infinite wisdom, Alex Kurtzman and Russell T Davies decided to get together to do a panel which should have been called the Destroyer of Franchises, and said this.
I think Doctor Who's fine. Doctor Who, well, how can I say this? It's like, I think there are things happening in the culture, particularly the trans rights these days, that are a million times more important than what's happening right now.
You're fighting some of those battles on the show just by the representation.
And it doesn't end there. Recently, Bruce Timm returned with the Jar Jar Abrams produced Batman the Intersectional series, which
I still have not finished. I have no. Oh, look at this. I have no need to. I have some extra time today. I'm filming videos rather early. I may jump on it and try to finish it all in one shot. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay, because it's at a point where I told you guys, like, a lot of this stuff I was continuing to watch out of morbid curiosity to see how hard they would fail in the crazy stuff that they would put in the shows or the movies. But I'm starting to get to the point that I was with WWF, where I'm like, I'm just ready to leave and never come back. It's like I'm real close, but I'm seeing Deadpool and Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? That was a good movie. Hopefully that's not a one-off. I did like the Captain America 4 trailer. You know what I'm saying? I, for the most part, enjoyed Alien Romulus. I think I'm going to drop the score, though, to like 2.75. That ending kind of... But, things, they're talking like they're going to change things. We know the conveyor belt is getting empty, and they're getting out the last few pieces of stank that they've put on their movies and series. So we'll see.
It was two diverse lesbians sitting down for a meal they probably should have skipped.
Still, could be worse.
And a rotund female penguin named Oswalda Cobblepot. We knew this was going to happen because Bruce Timm told us.
The way we deal with the characters, is going to be quite a bit more modern in terms of inclusivity, representation, things like that.
And another one bites the dust.
And it shouldn't surprise anyone.
He looked like he was nervous to say it. He almost looked like he didn't want to say it. Like somebody was behind him. He looked like he was being forced to say that. You see that?
And although it probably will, Disney stock is down despite having $2 billion films at the box office. Granted, this is for a myriad of reasons, but it doesn't help that they own things like Lucasfilm and distribute and fund things like Doctor Who. Paramount, which owns Star Trek, just wrote down billions of dollars, and Warner Brothers, which thought so little of Batman the Intersectional series they were glad to off it on Amazon, just wrote down billions of dollars. And in the aforementioned, you had two heroes returning to their franchises, Russell T. Davies and Bruce Timm, and they both ended in disaster, all over a slavish adherence to the message. And now the infighting has begun, not over changing it, over who controls it. This brings us to the Hollywood Reporter, who I naively thought produced the worst article I would read this year. Hollywood forfeits up to $30 billion every year because of racial inequity. And this all comes from a report by the McKinsey Group, who in the past has worked with BlackRock and Enron, which also happens to be a follow-up from the report back in 2021. Lack of diversity in Hollywood cost industry $10 billion. That's a big jump from $10 billion to $30 billion.
What movie is that?
Am I right? When in truth, the lack of POTs, people of talent, has cost Hollywood probably about $10 to $30 billion. Everything burns. Anyway, I'm a sweet summer child, and I should have known it was early in the year, and the access media, which can't die fast enough, can always get worse. And this one is a tome about the coming civil war in Hollywood. And this is the headline. These Trump-loving techies, Hollywood takes on Silicon Valley in an epic presidential brawl.
What?
Now, before we get into this article, I want you to take a look at this picture, which the Hollywood Reporter says was illustrated by somebody named Justin Metz.
Art is very important to me, and when I look at it, I'm honestly put in a state of awe as to how beautiful this image is. The lighting, the movement, the flow of the hair, cape and cloth, the design of the outfit, the finer details. Artists can get the very best results out of AI art generators.
First of all, that's not a lightsaber duel. What the hell?
I was just about to say, that looks AI.
going on with their hands? And they say Jeffrey Katzenberg is Luke Skywalker when he's clearly Rey Palpatine. Which, to be fair, is far more applicable because Hollywood thinks they're the good guys and the rebellion. Now, before you think I'm going to get all political about this, I'm not, because this article isn't about an election. It's about a power struggle that Hollywood has already lost. And they admit as much in the beginning of the article. LA's liberal moguls are coming after Elon Musk and the rest of the Silicon Valley billionaire boys club in a political clash of the titans. People are putting up a lot of dough just to teach these dudes they can't buy an election. And I can hear you now. The mental gymnastics involved in that byline. And is there a break in the Fortnite nation? The answer is yes.
I was watching Abba and Preach talk about that the other day. I did not know what was going on. I just kept seeing that going, through my timeline, and I'm like, wait, this person was really at the Olympics? And, they were basically saying it was just like one of those things where it's, it's kind of like when you see some of these sprints and like somebody's like super dead last. It's like kind of like that. Well, they were the best in their country. That's kind of like what happened. They just can't keep up with the best in other countries. So
and that's what this article is really about, because they tell on themselves immediately. If you were to stick a pin in the timeline at the exact moment Silicon Valley declared war on Hollywood and won, it would likely land on August 29th, 1997. That's the date Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph got together in Scotts Valley, about an hour south of San Francisco, and started a little DVD delivery company called Netflix. The rest is history.
Yep, I never thought Netflix was going to be this big. If I had known. Good Lord.
A couple of decades, all traditional pillars of the old entertainment order started to crumble. Linear television, cable TV, theatrical box office, nothing was left standing, at least not as tall as it once had. This we all know all too well. What this article doesn't mention, but I will, is Hollywood was all in with what Silicon Valley was selling and turned entertainment into a platform, which made it a lot easier for Tinseltown to piss off half the country, making the overall brand damage that had already started much worse. But here's what's new.
Hey, I got a question. Why do most stories, when they're talking about streaming platforms, why do they leave out YouTube? Because YouTube's the biggest streaming platform in the world. You know what I'm saying? That makes me feel good. I'm a successful YouTuber and creator on the largest streaming platform in the world. Feels good. But why do they leave them out? Because they kind of do more than everybody else? Is that why? Are they kind of like in their own genre type of thing? That's what I'm thinking. Because like something like Netflix or Tubi or whatever. You know Tubi's doing better than Disney Plus, HBO Max, like specifically shows, and you know what I mean. Like YouTube is kind of like known for us regular folk being on here. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why they look at it different. I don't know. Maybe one of you can tell me. Maybe one of you analysts can tell me.
Very recently, just over the past several weeks, there have been signs that Southern California once again is rising, or trying to at any rate. This time, though, the Civil War with the North isn't over digital platform windows or online content protection. This time, it's mogul-to-mogul combat on a much grander battlefield, as both sides, super-rich techno-libertarians versus not quite as super-rich old-guard Hollywood liberals, clash over what sort of government the country should be electing this November. Okay, to use your Civil War analogy, Hollywood Reporter, you're saying that Hollywood is the South rising again? Checks out. Since this article is insane, I'm going to skip the entire political portion, like I said, and sum it up as briefly as I can. Number one, 99.9% of Silicon Valley agrees with 100% of your politics, Hollywood. So stop, because no one believes this. Number two, it's about a few guys going off the reservation, including, to a lesser extent, Peter Thiel, who backs the Green app, but it's mostly about Elon Musk, who we'll get to. And number three, it's about control of all that money and the message that the vast majority of Silicon Valley and the vast majority of Hollywood agree on. Up until a couple of weeks ago, Hollywood's own moguls seemed like they might be sitting out the 2024 race, which would have been advisable. Why? I don't know. Considering your industry's in decline, you might want to focus on making better TV shows and films and not pissing off your customers so they go out and buy merchandise and go to your parks. But what the hell do I know? I'm not an economist or a financial analyst. I'm just an idiot surrounded by my plastic pals in a room. But after paragraphs of political screeching, we get to the truth. There's a shitload of money here in Hollywood, as well as a lot of disdain for these tech bros. In truth, not all of this hostility is over politics. I'll stop you right there. Virtually none of it is. Some of the resentment...
You know, it was funny. I did a Gillette ad right at the tail end of that, like right when all this, see, that was kind of made when a lot this was kind of brewing up and starting to really irritate people. Like it was already filtering in, but like that ad was an ad that really made people mad. And I did a brand deal because I wasn't even really paying attention to a lot of it at that time. I was just enjoying myself being a creator on YouTube, and you know, and Gillette came to me, asked me to do it. I was like, okay. They come out with a shaver for black men. And I was like, okay, let's do it, you know. And then like half of my comments was just like, yo, sorry, T, like, yo, hey, get the bag, but yo, to hell with Gillette. I mean, like, so much of it had something to say like that. And I was just like, oh boy. So yeah, people are tired of this stuff.
Has much more to do with ego as ideology. After all, these Silicon Valley tech bros have been running roughshod over Hollywood for years, barging into town with their newfangled subscription services, busting up traditional broadcast and big screen business models, imposing strange corporate cultures on an industry with its own cherished ideas about workplace etiquette. Was Harvey Weinstein's couch a cherished workplace?
I really love my job and I'm very happy.
Yeah. But this is my favorite part, where the Hollywood Reporter tries to justify that Hollywood are the good guys.
Are we the baddies?
Still, there are clear and philosophical differences between the two camps. Hollywood may be filled with scoundrels, liars, backstabbers, and much, much worse, but
I know about the backstabbers. I found out about them. Not as fast as I thought I would. You know what I mean? But yes, there are snakes in Hollywood. And I would say to anyone making friends with anyone in the entertainment business, just hold them at arm's length. Truly get to know them, because they will turn on you. Some will turn on you. Some will turn on you because of woke or other things, just to protect themselves or to make themselves look better than you. Trust me. Trust me.
at least some of those scoundrels, liars, backstabbers, and much worse have a social conscience.
A load of shit. But wait!
There's more! Then the Hollywood Reporter accuses Silicon Valley of creating a new religion of techno-transhumanism, an argument I'm not entirely against. It's just rich coming from Hollywood. Their idea is to develop advanced technologies to radically re-engineer themselves so that there's no death. Immortality is a key part of this belief system. Again, the town with women and men with their faces filled with plastic and poison to look younger are calling this out. In that way, it's very much like a religion. Yes, it is. I totally agree. That's why some people are calling it the Scientology of Silicon Valley, and we all know that Hollywood Scientology doesn't want any competitors. Others in San Francisco are calling it the Nerdrotic. This brings us to former Hollywood darling, now boogeyman, does that sound familiar? Elon Musk. Up until recently, Silicon Valley shared many of LA's values. You mean up until a minute ago? Although it's always leaned more towards laissez-faire libertarianism when it comes to taxes and regulations. No, both industries support both of those things, just not against them. And yes, taxation is theft. It, being Silicon Valley, largely agreed with Hollywood on such cultural issues. And I would like to thank the Hollywood Reporter for finally bringing up the one thing that undermines your entire article. But something has clearly shifted in the political winds up north, and it's not just Musk's tweet storm decrying wokeism. Yes, it is. Tell me, why is one rich guy, okay, the richest guy on earth, buying one platform filled with a bunch of adult pretenders threatening to quit it every day such a threat? We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, a Hollywood Reporter article featured a picture of my favorite producer, the destroyer of franchises, Jar Jar Abrams, who's not...
Oh god. Who's got a name like that, to destroy of worlds? Who's got that name? I can't even think of it right now. Oh man.
Not only the chief repurposer and hack, he's also an activist. Who can forget during the Summer of Love when Bad Reboot said this? Enough white comfort. Pretty rich, coming from a guy in a $6 million mansion whose industry completely relies on disposable income and comfort. And that statement, while I think it's one of the more egregious, is one of 1,000 examples of why the message is killing Hollywood. And that's the one thing the Access Media leaves out of every one of their articles talking about the doom and gloom of Hollywood. They think you don't notice, but you do. For almost the entirety of Hollywood's existence, the market would decide. But they stopped doing that. You know, there was a time where RTD's return to Doctor Who would have been canceled, but now you can't cancel a show written by a gay man, starring a gay black man. You can't cancel a Star Trek show with a black female lead. You can't fire Kathleen Kennedy, the most powerful and incompetent leader in the history of Hollywood, because she's a woman.
Please, Pittsburgh! Nothing to see!
And as Hollywood continues its downward spiral into its existential crisis, which isn't helped by their biggest legacy studio, Disney, within a year of repurposed TV shows, films, sequels, and prequels, announcing more repurposed TV shows, sequels, and prequels. It appears one of their subsidiaries may have gotten the memo. Disney Marvel, who reportedly purged all of their useless, inexperienced activist employees.
Please hope all the rumors are true. And now if we could just get Lucasfilm to follow suit. Well, all of Disney.
And the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, which is essentially just giving the audience what they want, the question has to be asked. Has the brain trust at Disney Marvel decided to listen to the market and focus on what made their IP worth billions in the first place? The built-in fans, and if
the hell is that song and dance
others
number?
Follow? Time will tell. So while Hollywood fights its civil war with Silicon Valley over control of the message, which in truth was an invasion that they already lost, when the real war has been with the audience. Now, change for Silicon Valley and Tinseltown is highly improbable, but possible and very difficult. This brings us back to Hollywood's new favorite boogeyman. When Elon Musk bought Twitter and then
his chest.
Hollywood's new favorite boogeyman. When Elon Musk bought Twitter and then purged most of the useless activist staff while simultaneously exposing all the infiltration and activism happening in every facet of the corporations in charge of our entertainment and, more importantly, information.
If you're not trying to run some sort of glorified activist organization and you're not care that much about censorship, then you can really let go of a lot of people, it turns out.
On the current path, I'm really worried about Twitter's future. And the site will become
Tucker's laugh cracks
more
me up.
abusive, more extreme, and less reliable over time.
What the hell is it? The obvious, by buying Twitter, Elon Musk broke the narrative and disrupted the message. And that has sent shockwaves through Washington, New York, Silicon Valley, and Hollywood. And that's a good thing. I would like nothing more than to get back to normal and for all of us to be unburdened by the woke Hollywood that has been, and we can just get back to Hollywood. In the meantime, the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
legacy media complex will continue to clown and attack people like Elon Musk and the new media. In other words, the dinosaurs are mocking the meteor.
Go yourself.
If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.
Get over and follow the Nerdrotic. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. And if you enjoyed my reaction and thoughts to this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And hopefully we are all in for a great movie future. That rhyme, don't hit the play, hit the game. Bars! 10 million subscribers.